What is the best derby in England? Comment down below your top 5, because today we're going to go through 50 different English derbies, and we're going to rank which ones we think are the best. And I'm gonna annoy you. If you could like the video and also subscribe if you are new. This is a much more chilled, laid back, relaxed one. I'm actually going away for a stag do this weekend, so this will be out for the weekend while I'm away and dead in Dublin. If you are in Ireland and try to find me and punch me, you're more than welcome to. So let's crack on. And of course, Vizeh Designs, UK, my own company with endless amount of derby goals, famous in your club's history to remember forever. Use code DERBY for 15% off all items. And, well, we're back on Tier Maker in the good old days. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we're going to scroll down quickly here, and you're going to see a wide range of derbies that you may never knew even existed. Here's the list we have got here. Now, there's some games here which I never even had any idea was even a derby. Like, Crawley Town v Brighton is the one slap bang in the middle of it. No idea. I didn't have even the faintest clue that was even perceived as a derby. If you go over to the right hand side here, there's also much more to this list. Torquay v Exeter, that's made it on here. There's also one here in the yellow kit. No idea what that is actually for. That can't be Burton, can it? I don't think so. But yeah, we've got a large amount of derbies there, which this means that basically every club should be accounted for here. And because I do run a company that does deal with derbies and big derby goals and big derby wins, I actually have got a lot more insight into what these derbies mean to the fans than what I ever would. So I want to give some credit to some rivalries, some derbies here, which you may not actually think are that fierce, but trust me, they are. I'm going to put in... I kind of want to put in top tier here. Preston North End v Blackpool. Now, of course, I'm not round the area, but I'm in Lancashire. And I do know some North End fans and Blackpool fans. This is big. This is a really good derby. One that never really gets mentioned in any of the typical top 10, top 15 kind of lists you see in articles online. They're not really seen by many fans outside the kind of casual bubble. But North End v Blackpool is a pretty decent derby, I'll be honest here. And from what I've seen from the fans, yeah, it's good. So I think it does get a lot of disrespect, or just doesn't even get mentioned. And I would really count it as top tier. Putting up in a list here, okay? Again, this is a derby that people like to laugh at. It's a rivalry, it's not a derby. But I'm putting Palace v Brighton and hated. Not in top tier. Not in top tier. And most people put it out in the what tier. I put it in hated. The amount of videos I've seen online involving both these clubs is proper. Another one which doesn't get much credit, and it kind of does make some sense because, well, they don't really play each other. But when they do play each other, it's a proper decent affair. And this goes for two actual rivalries here. Bristol Rovers v Bristol City and Port Vale v Stoke. Because of the divide of quality in both these clubs in recent years and decades now almost, you don't really see these two play each other really at all. But these two simply have to be in here, mainly because, well, this is the main derby for both clubs involved. One more in there does not get enough credit for me is Pompey Saints. I think Pompey Saints is really good. I think it's really good. And because they're kind of seen as two kind of nicey southern clubs, especially Southampton, maybe not so much for Portsmouth, but because they're seen as like southern clubs, maybe they're seen a bit more nicer to each other, but I think it's really good. The amount of times I've been to Southampton away, and I've literally seen Pompey fans in the away end, an endless amount of Pompey fans that goes to the away end at Saints, just to support the other team that plays against them when they're not about, is more often than you can imagine. If you don't want to know more, there's a great Copper 90 documentary actually done about this derby, like an hour long, fantastic video. I hugely recommend to go check that out. Please do. It's a great video. Now I'm going to throw some teams in the kind of what category here. Teams that I never knew was a rivalry. I'm sure it means something to the fans of the club, or maybe the smaller club here, but I'm going to include the likes of, Crawley Town v Brighton. I don't think there's anyone in the entire country that's even aware this even exists. So I do sincerely apologise. Sheffield Wednesday beat Doncaster. Wasn't aware this was a derby. Sheffield Wednesday beat Rotherham. I guess that's just a typical Yorkshire derby. But I don't really think there's many Sheffield Wednesday fans that would really count that. I'm pretty sure, from my knowledge, it's usually like QPR and Fulham, or Brentford and Fulham. I think kind of QPR, Brentford, Fulham, that kind of collection of teams kind of all equally don't like each other. That's why like Chelsea beat Fulham, because Fulham is too nice. Like Fulham's too nice of a club to be seen as a proper rivalry. You know what I mean? So I guess it is in the average, because I'm aware of these being derbies, so I think they kind of just have to go in the average. Like if they're on TV, you wouldn't really like look at it on the fixture list thinking, oh, it's a big derby this weekend, QPR beat Brentford. It's not one of them. But again, I'm sure it means a lot to the fan base. But to just the typical neutral, I wouldn't go out of my way to make sure I'm watching this game. Carlisle v Barrow, it makes sense as they're both Cumbrian teams. I think they're the only two real professional Cumbrian teams. Okay, so just done some research. It can't be in hated. I'm sorry, lads. It has been average. It's definitely a derby. Just not up there. Fleetwood Town v Morecambe. I think it's actually better than what people would think. I still want to put it in average though. MK Dons v Wimbledon. It's hated, right? It's not like top tier, but it absolutely is in hated. If a team literally robs your football club, then it's in hated. Okay, you may, whatever you think about MK Dons fans or whatever, it has to be in hated. Like the team literally stole their football club, and AFC Wimbledon literally avoids at all costs to even name them MK Dons. On my print, they're just known as Milton Keynes. On the AFC Wimbledon actual accounts, they never mention them MK Dons. It's just that lot. They don't even say Milton Keynes or MK. They just say that lot. It's incredible. Now there's derbies like, let's say, Cardiff v Newport, right? Where like there's, of course, the main derby for Cardiff is obviously Swansea. So there's these types of derbies where it means a lot more to one side of it than the other. Walsall West Brom, I'm sure it's a big one. It's a Black Country derby, I'm sure. So it'll still be an average, right? I think that's still fair to be put in average. Maybe not too big. Wrexham Chester. You know what? It's in hated. It's in hated just because of bootlegger. The infamous clip of, I believe it was like just before the game started, of the believe a minute silence, and then of course I think it was the Chester fans that started it. I think they shouted to like disrupt the minute silence, and long and behold, a chaos ensued just for bootlegger alone. I think it has been hated. Okay, so now it's time to address the top 6 games. So United Liverpool, or City United, or there's also United Arsenal. Probably shouldn't be there. The issue is, I remember seeing like in the home end for like these big games. So last week was Arsenal and Spurs, and I just saw so many clips of like obvious tourists in the home end, and it's like, you're not gonna get that at like any other ground. That's just not gonna happen. And I'm sure many actual fans are really annoyed at it. I'm sure like actual fans of the clubs, like fans that go week in, week out, I'm sure they're sick of the tourist aspect of football that seems to just be absolutely everywhere. I'm sure of it. Out of all these derbies, the ones that I'd say just isn't touristy is Everton Liverpool. Like Everton Liverpool, that derby is always, at least at Goodison Park. At Goodison, that's a proper derby. They're proper up for it. Everton's a proper club, and they've not got that touristy nonsense. So, in my mind, at least at Goodison, that's a proper game of football. But the rest of them, just not for me. I don't really care about watching United Liverpool. I just don't. Okay, so there's still quite a lot left here, so I'll try and fly through this as much as I can. Plymouth v Exeter, hated derby. Hated derby. Plymouth, Exeter, the Devon derby, would very much surprise you how good it actually is. I was pleasantly surprised to look into it when I was doing prints for them. I'm going to have to sadly disrespect Middlesbrough here, because like there's going to be Sunderland Middlesbrough, and then of course Newcastle Middlesbrough. I think Sunderland v Borough is definitely the more heated of the two compared to Newcastle and Borough. It's just because, like, again, Newcastle and Sunderland are obviously the main derby. So Middlesbrough, they kind of can't compete in the same way. They're kind of like that kind of a little brother that's kind of just keep on banging your door down and like trying to annoy you. That's kind of how it comes across. Barlow and Hartlepool, it's in the kind of Carlisle v Barrow kind of level of it. That's their main rivals. It's a decent do. Notts County v Forest. Look, I'm sure it means a lot to County fans. Probably not as much to Forest fans, I'm sure, because of just the levels that it's turned to in the last couple of years. Well, quite a long time, actually. The thing is, I remember these two often have like pre-season friendly games together, and I just don't think you can have a real fierce derby rivalry if you're having pre-season games together. I just don't think I just don't think that happens. Speaking of Forest, we might as well go into Forest v Derby. It's in Hayton, not top tier for me. It's not top tier, mainly because like there's literally like a friendship trophy that they basically have, with, of course, Brian Clough being the main connection of the two, obviously. There's quite a few Leeds ones here, just Leeds just popping up. So Hull v Leeds, not really. I mean, yeah, it's a Yorkshire derby, but not really. Middlesbrough v Leeds, again, what? Wasn't even aware that was even a... I'm sure there's like some animosity there, but like it's not a derby, surely. Again, Huddersfield v Leeds, I'm sure it means a lot more to Huddersfield Town fans. Maybe I'm much more aware of that one a lot more than Hull v Leeds being a proper derby. So I'll put Huddersfield there. And then, of course, there's another Leeds here being Leeds v Bradford. Again, I'm aware there's a lot more. And other Bradford fans, this means more to them. So, yeah, Leeds, the main derby is, of course, Leeds v United. And that's not even an option here, which is probably an issue. Crewe v Macclesfield, wasn't even aware of that, I'll be honest. I'm so sorry, boys. I'm sure my poor ball knowledge here. I think there's Reading here in the bottom left. I'm not even aware of who Reading has a derby with, so I can't really put that anywhere. Grimsby Town v Scunthorpe. Just because these two just are proper northern clubs, I'm sure they hate each other. So yeah, let's go for Grimsby v Scunthorpe in average. I remember seeing the clip around. I think that's all I know about it. They entered the kind of Carlisle v Barrow category of like, well, there's no one else to really hate. So let's just go with those two. Okay, I'm going to zoom out for this page here to get it fully done. So Wolves v West Brom, top tier. Top tier. I don't know if it's in top 5. I'm not too sure. Maybe. That's one that I could put up there. Norwich v Ipswich. I mean, it is a good derby. But is it in top tier? I'll put it in hated. I don't think it's top 10. I think because just both clubs are too nice. It's too nice. You know, it's a good derby. You know, if it's on TV, absolutely I'll go and watch it. But it's not one of the big ones that I would make sure I watch no matter what. You know, I think Preston v Blackpool is really underrated to what people think it is. I do see Blackburn v Burnley. I'm not going to surprise you. It's in top tier. Biased, absolutely biased. It's above Preston v Blackpool, obviously. But Blackburn v Burnley, it's in top 10. I am a Burnley fan, so that is potentially biased. But I think that is just, two northern clubs, both proper local fan bases. There are ones here like Cambridge v Peterborough. I think that's average. I think that means a lot to those fans. So it definitely deserves a shout to be put in here. Leicester v Forest is kind of one of those kind of like, I don't really know who Leicester's main rivals is. It kind of is a bit of everyone. It could be a bit of like Coventry. Coventry ain't even here other than for one, which is odd, which is Birmingham v Cov. I don't really think that's really a rivalry. I know that Coventry literally played like season or two inside St Andrews, inside Birmingham Stadium. So I don't think that's ever going to be seen as a proper rivalry. But I know Coventry's main one is Leicester. I guess I could put it in average. Southend v Colchester is an average. That's at least their main rivalry, I'm pretty sure. So that's fair. Wigan v Bolton, I think that's an average. Again, Wigan and Bolton are weird because I don't think they really have too many like most like obvious rivalries. They kind of just don't like anyone around the area. Harrogate v York, I'm not aware. I really am not aware. I don't know if it's a real fierce one. So for me, it's just in what I wasn't ever aware of that, I'll be honest with you. Like Bournemouth v Saints, I guess it's an average. I guess it's kind of like counted as the sort of, Fulham QPR games where like Bournemouth fans may take it more seriously than Southampton, potentially. Okay, now I think it's time for the GOATs here. The big hitters, right? The best derbies in England. And the first one here is, for me, Newcastle, Sunderland. I love that derby. I think it's mega. I think it's really good. Villa Blues, again, could be first, could be second. Proper derby. And then it is going to be Steel City, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, proper derby. And one which may surprise you, it really may surprise you, but I'm putting Swansea, Cardiff. I quite enjoy it. I quite like the Welsh element of it, like representing your country. And from the people that I know, I think it's up there as well. I think it's not given the credit. And then there's West Ham Millwall. For me, I think it's because there's just so much disparity of quality. So in the case of having a top 5, I need to promote one more here. And I think it has to be Forest v Derby, the Brian Clough Derby. And then in that case, I will put in the top 5 between any of these 6, West Ham Millwall, Wolves, West Brom, Black Country Derby, Pompey Saints. From what I've seen, it kind of has to be Millwall, West Ham, just for what happened the last time these two played each other. And it does make me think, if these two play each other again, what may happen. So I think it has to be there. I think it has to be. So that is 50 different derbies ranked. I'm sure that I've got some wrong here, but tell me down below, what have I missed out on? Maybe my ball knowledge is rather low. And I'm going to get shouted at for the United, Liverpool, and the tourism category at all. But, hey, at least I put Everton, Liverpool in there. So, shout out for that. But, yeah, tell me your thoughts down below. And I'll see you next time. See ya.